Okay, so what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen are the pairs that will be analyzed today, but make sure you do stay to the end of the video because I do have a bonus pair in store. But yeah, guys, we'll go through my pound USD short position, which I took earlier on the week, and then progress into the analysis shortly after. If there is a particular pair you do want to see my analysis to, make sure you do skip ahead using the timestamps below. But as I mentioned, I had some shorts in pound USD, was taken out for a loss. Price did wick me out quite, it wasn't quite aggressively. I was stopped out just before the news. We had CPI, I think, on Tuesday. Tuesday. Price did wick quite aggressively higher before we did see price tank to the downside. So the idea was correct. It's just that I entered the trade a little bit too early in context with the market in terms of my strategy. And the way I entered the market was according to my plan, but in this particular trade we were wicked out before price did tag to the downside. And again, in hindsight, we can see price didn't quite make my overall targets anyway, so even if that wick didn't happen, I probably would have been stopped out a break even with this move back up there as well. But I came into a really nice area of confidence, really strong move to the downside, breaking structure here, so I was looking for the pullback, nice entry signal, faking out some highs on the lower time frames, looking for an entry in the hour, expecting continuation to the downside, which we did see, but prices want to take me out first. So unlucky with that trade, but again, it was a good trade, which I'll take over and over again. It's just that we've got to play out the probability game. But moving on to Euro USD, first pair, as always, of course, we'll touch into pound USD later on the video in a bit more detail of what I'm expecting next. But with Euro, I have been particularly quite bearish on the pair, looking for more downside. I said I was looking for some shorts from this area this week. We had a nice area of broken support and resistance here, nice confidence, looking for the next lower high for some more shorts, which we did see, just not from that particular area. We had a kind of a shorter pullback before the market did continue bearish, taking out the lows there. However, we are starting to run out a bit of steam. We've been very corrective in this bearish kind of channel here, and we really failed to break away from that. I was expecting price to really start to plummet to the downside this week and see some more downside. However, we're starting to run out a bit of juice here for Euro USD, and potentially we could be seeing the buyers take control. We are testing a pretty strong area of support on the daily time frame, which I think, okay, we just missed out. We're testing on the DXY, but not quite Euro USD. If I quickly flick over to the DXY, you can guys see my point. And of course, DXY, we just got the inverse of Euro USD and DXY, the inverse of each other. So you can see with DXY, we've come back into a big zone here, which is kind of what's causing a lot of reaction there recently. Euro USD haven't quite hit that area yet. So that's kind of the area I was expecting price to get to this week, but we kind of just missed it. But of course, market's not perfect. You don't have to hit my level before the market decides it wants to turn around. If we start breaking structure to the upside and printing higher highs and higher lows, of course, I'll change my bias. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for Euro USD. Not so interested with the sells anymore. Showing a lot of signs of fatigue. It's not really a trend that's healthy, so I'm not wanting to follow that. But if you start breaking structure aggressively to the upside, there could be some nice long opportunities to follow that higher. If DXY does come lower, we expect Euro USD to verse to the upside. So I want to see a strong break of structure here at 1.077999, or even better, if you can break the high here as well. If you can break through this structure and that structure, that'll be magnificent, and then we have a really high chance of price coming back to the swing high up there. But if we can see a strong break of this structure, I'll still be interested in some longs, and of course some pullbacks and some buying opportunities on the retest of that structure. Makes a lot of sense to me. So Euro USD, I'm looking for potential buy opportunities. Of course, it's not confirmed yet because we haven't broken structure. Price could still respect that and continue down. But if we can get a strong break of structure, keeping a close eye in this area, 1.08, for some longs to the upside. I'll watch out for this area though. A lot of supply, a lot of bearish pressure there that could send us back bearish again. So definitely keep an eye out on that level in terms of partials or managing a trade. But there is a big possibility we could come back to the highs up there for Euro. So could be a big swing. But first, let's get the break of structure, look for the retest, and of course, these highs here could be our target. So that's the plan next week for Euro USD. Okay, so over to dollar yen. So still bullish on this pair, confident move to the upside, still seeing higher highs, higher lows, bullish momentum, trend still looks alive. So Still looking to follow this higher. I was looking for the retest of this level coming into the week. We had a nice break high. I was looking for a pullback to retest it. Didn't quite happen. Brief consolidation before another strong move to the upside. So I'm still looking for a bigger pullback into this area. I was keeping a close eye on this area for some longs, but I didn't like this big wick we had into the level. I like it when my wicks pierce the level rather than tap in. I've noticed that normally when we kind of wick in from a distance, sometimes you go and fill the wick. So I didn't look to take that position, but if we can have a deeper retracement, that would be nice. Potentially tag the 50 on that Fibonacci from the swing low to the swing high. We've seen some good momentum here. If we can see pull back into this area, that would be nice. I'm still looking for us to come back into the high there around 151, 500 we'll call it. So yeah, dollar yen to me still looks very, very bullish. Yen pairs overall look bullish. They may be coming to some major swing highs, major resistance. Maybe you could be seeing a bigger counter trend move to the downside, which I'm still looking for, but at the moment, yeah, everything is still pointing up. So until we start to see some major break of structures, I can't be looking to sell just yet. And for dollar yen, everything is still looking up. So still keeping a close eye on this 148, 500 level, 750 level. And we've got some nice confluence there. And again, risk reward looks pretty good if you go back to the high, but even targets back to this swing high make a lot of sense there as well. So that will be the plan next week for dollar yen. Okay, so moving on to dollar CAD. So dollar CAD, I am still looking for that bigger move to the downside. We do have this strong move to the downside here on the daily chart. This potentially could be the pullback of that move for continuation. Now, I'm still kind of 50-50 with dollar CAD just because the higher time frame conditions are not great. We've got a large consolidation here, so try not to look too much into the individual swing highs and lows when I'm looking into consolidation, just because it's a bit more lower probability that the market respects structure and respects trends, because overall we're seeing quite chaotic price action here. However, I do like this move to the downside, a lot of momentum with it, taking out some key lows as well, and this does have the characteristics of a pullback, so we could be seeing continuation back to the low here, which is kind of the move I was describing last week. I said if we can break through this low here, some shorts on a retest of that could be good. Of course, that didn't happen. Price kind of just continued higher this week, but I'm still looking for that move. Strong area supply and the market still reacting from. If we can start breaking through structure, particularly both swing lows, that'd be very nice. Then get some pullbacks. There could be some nice shorts back down to this low. Again, it's probably not my favorite pair. There are better pairs out there, which again, I will create my watch list for the next week and I'll post it in my Telegram. If you're not in Telegram, make sure you go check it out. Link in the description to that. But yeah, dollar CAD probably won't make the watch list, but if we do see a strong move, it would probably interest me. But we'll have to see how the week pans out next week. But a strong move to the downside, breaking structure, particularly both swing lows. And then some pullbacks. I do think we can form a lower high and continue our path to the downside. And again, back to the lows here. Risk reward looks pretty interesting as well. So keep an eye on some dollar CAD shorts. Break structure is important though, because if we don't, we technically could still form a higher low, obey this swing point here and continue higher. So we don't want to be selling too early. So let's wait for the break structure, pullbacks, then some shorts around 1.342, back down to 1.318 will be the plan for next week. Okay, so over to Euro Pound. So for Euro Pound, I'm still looking for a move to the upside. Again, not really a pair that does interest me. It won't make my watch list for next week. Spoiler alert, but nonetheless, it's in a really nice area of strong daily support. As we can see, a few rejections here, big move to the upside. There is a chance we could see some more upside as well from this area. Conditions aren't particularly great, still kind of sideways price action, no real trend at play. So doesn't really excite me, to be honest, but a strong break of this high here. I do think there is good quality opportunities for some higher lows, maybe on the 4H stroke hourly time frame, but a break structure is very important. This is the swing high, which gave us these lows here. We did see a really nice reaction to the upside, really impulsive move, particularly with that big 4H candle there. But we haven't broken through structure, and if price is going to still obey that bearish structure, we could come straight back down again. So again, important to wait for the structure to align with the bias first and then follow the moves, rather than trying to get into early and try and call the reversal, which is always going to be a bit difficult to do. So if you can get a strong break of structure past this point here, pullbacks, maybe a retest of the high. It does depend on how far we break structure. If it's a really big move, then a retest of the high will look good. If it's not as big, then we could probably be looking for a retest of some areas down here as well, around 0.85 400. So it does depend on how strong the break is, but nonetheless looking for long opportunities since we're coming back into a big level of support. But as I said, there's no kind of real trend we're playing at here. Overall structure is quite messy, so it doesn't quite do it for me. But if you are looking to trade euro pound, I would definitely keep an eye out on the longs if we can break structure. So that'll be the plan next week for euro pound. Okay, so moving on to Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar being particularly bearish on the pair. We did see some nice continuation this week. I was actually shorting pound USD instead of Aussie dollar, which may be something I regret, because Aussie dollar kind of did exactly what I was expecting to do, and I was shorting, both dollar pairs, expecting dollar to be strong for this week. We did see nice move to the downside. In fairness, this entry signal I had for Aussie dollar to short it did come in outside of my trading hours, so I wouldn't have taken the trade anyway, but we did see a nice move to the downside. However, Aussie dollar is really struggling at a higher time frame level of support, which is this swing low here taken across. As you can see, we are struggling to break through. Structure still bearish, similar to like Euro USD coming to an important area, but structure still bearish. If we can see a strong break of structure here on the lower time frame, particularly the 4H, this is our last swing high, which gave us this move down. If the market can actually break through that, pullbacks and retest of the high could be a nice opportunity. Looking to switch that bias and now looking for some long opportunities. As if I do zoom out, this is a very big level, gave us a big move to the upside there. Potentially could be a bit of a inverse head and shoulder pattern. Maybe not the cleanest one in the world, but it does kind of fit the bill here. We've got left head and right shoulder. It is definitely an important level of support, which could take us higher. And the way the market is reacting as well, we had a really strong impulse move to the downside. You expect the trend to continue, but we completely reversed and came straight back up again. Not a sign of a healthy bearish trend, a sign that the bearish trend could be looking to exhaust and potentially reverse. And considering where we're trading at such a big level, and if we can get the break of structure, buyers are now looking very attractive for next week. But of course, break of structure is important. Strong break of structure, again, it would be nice if we can take out this swing point as well, since this is where a lot of momentum came from. But this one would be enough for a valid trade. It's just if we do this as well, then there's a very high chance we'll continue higher. And yeah, then looking for some pullbacks and the retest of that area would be the plan. So Aussie dollar longs, I'm interested in, not so focused on the shorts anymore. Again, if we do sell off, we sell off, but the structure is not high probability for me anymore. If we can break structure, that would be good. So keep an eye on the retest of 0.65 400 once we get a strong break of structure, and then targets. You can target these swing highs, these areas up here. It's up to you how far you want to take the trade, but that will be the plan next week for Aussie dollar. Okay, so on to NZD CAD. So price action hasn't really progressed since we last spoke with this one. We still are consolidating. I can see price going both ways, so really I'm just sitting my hands waiting for price to show me which way it most likely is going to go next, and then we'll look to follow that direction. Again, we haven't really broken through structure, this swing high over here, so this potentially could still just be a larger pullback, and we could see price continue to the downside. But of course, you want to see that bearish momentum kick back in again, price taking out some lows, maybe this low here as well, and then look to follow there to the downside. And if we are going to place in another higher low, as I was talking about last week, which was the retest of this prior resistance on the weekly chart, now turn support, big bullish engulfing candle. If we are going to decide to place in a higher low and continue higher, which again the market has a good probability of doing, let's start breaking through the high, and then we look for our pullbacks and then continuations after that. So again, I can see price going both ways. I need to see clear break of structure, clear bullish or bearish structure, then I can look to follow the market either up or down. So again, as to which way I'm expecting the market to break out, again, I'm not really too bothered. I'm just waiting for price to break out, and then I can measure things, see how things are setting up. And then if we break higher, I'll look for longs. If we break lower, I'll look for shorts. So not really too bothered which way we break out, because we can trade in both directions. But this is kind of what I'm looking at in terms of a breaking retest and targets for upside, and for downside, looking at a break of this low here. I'm treating this as a big fake out, and I'm waiting for price to, of course, break out, retest, and then look for some sells. Again, this one has a pretty good risk to rewards. If we're going to swing it back to the lows here, of course, doesn't need to be all the way down there. There's a key low here, which would make for a good healthy target there as well. So it'll be up to you how far you want to push the trade, but really friends, the CAD just waiting for the breakout. We've got the high at 0.827 and we've got the low 0.818. So waiting for price to break the high or low, looking for our retest and continuations. But yeah, that'll be the plan next week for NZD CAD. Okay, so over to pound NZD. So for this one, I've been speaking about selling opportunities for this one coming back into the high over here. We've been trying to head lower very correctively. It hasn't been really any confident bearish structure. I know we have been printing some lower lows and lower highs, as we can evidently see, but it's been very corrective in this bearish channel, not really seeing too much momentum, and we haven't really shown strong signs of a reversal really. So I've been on the sidelines waiting for pound NZD to show me a lot more clarity with this bearish structure, because if anything, this could just be a larger impulse, a bigger bull flag correction for another impulse to the upside. I can definitely see price doing something like that. So I want to see some evidence that the market is breaking out of this kind of bearish bull flag and seeing a lot of conviction to the downside, and then pullbacks will look good and I'll take my shorts. Because again, if I am correct with the higher time frame bias in terms of price coming back to the swing low and price, essentially respecting the swing high up there, I don't need to short right up here to make a profitable trade. I can wait for pullbacks, retests, and still find healthy risk rewards 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, from breaking me tests of these areas here as well. So I'm trying to avoid getting to the market too early, and at the moment still not really seeing much conviction, but looks like we're starting to pick up some momentum. So maybe if we can continue that into next week, really break through, and then look for some pullbacks and continuations, and that probably give me some confidence to look to short the pair. But at the moment, this could just be a larger bull flag for more upside, and it's not really a bearish move that I want to follow just yet. So I understand the bias, I understand what I'm looking to do, but now I just need the 4H hourly to agree with me and give me some good opportunities to get into the market. So that's the plan next week. Keep an eye on the breaking test of the low at 2.05189, and overall targets back down at 2.006. So that will be planned next week for pound NZD. Okay, so on to CAD Yen. So CAD Yen still bullish. Market just created some new major swing highs on the daily, weekly chart, taking out this high here. But I have to say, everything is still looking up for CAD Yen. I'm still waiting for that bigger counter trend move to the downside for CAD Yen, because it is showing a lot of signs that it's running out of steam on higher time frames. But at the moment, everything's still pointing up. If I scale back to the 4H time frame, still seeing confident bullish structure, and recently a nice bullish move there to the upside as well. So momentum still looks good for the bulls. Everything still does look up. Yes, it may be eventually coming to an end soon, and then eventually a reversal. But again, I'm not going to look too short early until the market starts to give me some strong break of structure and some strong bearish momentum, which we're not seeing at all. So at the moment, at the time being, still looking for longs, still looking to follow this bullish momentum, this bullish structure. I have highlighted this area here, really nice resistance. We broke through some good momentum. Never had the retest of that area. Got the 50% just below as well. This does look like a healthy area for pullback. Maybe take out some weaker higher lows here on the lower time frames. Test the area, fry some wicks. This does look like a nice place just to look to follow the trend. Again, I wouldn't suggest looking to push the trade too far, because eventually I do think a large pullback will most likely take place soon. But a move back into the high, still looking at a decent risk reward there depending on your entry. So yeah, for CAD Yen, still looking at buys 110, 300, still looks like a great level to long from. Let's see if we can see some retracement this week for some more upside. So that will be the plan next week for CAD Yen. Okay, so on to pound USD. So as I said, pound USD, I did take a sell on this one. I still am bearish on pound USD. However, I'm not a big fan of the way the market is moving. We do have a strong area of demand here on the left, where we did see a lot of momentum come from, as we can see, big move to the upside. Yes, we have been taking out some of these lows here on the left and printing some bearish structure here and seeing some nice momentum from the bears as well, but we haven't really taken out a very strong area where buyers have been sitting. And as you can see, we've come into the area, reacted, come into the area, reacted as well, and we haven't taken out that area. So I don't want to jump back into some sells just yet. Yes, this move here was a nice move to short, but now that we had a strong move down, and again, we're still failing to take out the low here. In fact, we're printing a higher low in comparison to that low. Not a good sign for the buyers. In fact, that we are quite choppy again, not a good sign. Once we left this large area of consolidation, you kind of want price just to peel away and see a nice trend, which we still could do, but the fact that we are a bit choppy now and starting to consolidate a little bit is a bit of a red flag here. So potentially we could see price use this demand area support, hold that area and start to push bullish again. Again, I'm not really interested with the buys with pound USD. I'd rather buy Aussie dollar or Euro USD. I'd rather focus on buys on those pairs. A lot more attractive opportunities there. For pound USD, I'm still focused on the sell, but for me to be looking for sells again, I do need to see a strong break of structure, particularly taking out this demand area here as well. If you can take out that area, take out these lows here as well, that'll show me that, okay, the bears are really back in town, and then I'll happily look to short the pullbacks after that and look for continuations from that point of view. So that's kind of where I'm at with pound USD. Still short buys because again, there's no bullish structure to follow. Structure still pointing down, but I can spot that we are still holding onto a very strong area of demand. Buys sitting here and so far holding the market as well. So I don't want to be shorting into this area since we've had another higher low print. And if we can break through, then the buys do become very high probability. So that's what I'm looking for pound USD. Not really a fan of the buys. If we can break structure, great. We'll look for a retest of 1.25, 250 and some sells. So we can start looking at some of these areas here. Potentially go a lot further as well, but can play it nice and simple there for pound USD. So yeah, that will be the plan next week for pound USD. Okay, so moving on to pound CAD. So this pair I really don't like, to be honest. I don't really see a really clear opportunity with it. Overall, there is a uptrend at play, a very kind of relaxed uptrend. It's not really a very powerful one, and maybe a one that could be looking to turn around soon. And maybe it is slowly turning around. We've been placing these lower highs here, 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially even 5 there as well. We have been rejecting a strong level of resistance, which I've been talking about some selling opportunities from, which we did see this week. I was talking about the retest of this area here. We kind of faked it a little bit before a strong move to the downside there, but a really nice opportunity to short. But apart from that, I'm not really seeing much hope with this one. We're lacking momentum, lacking conviction, and we're printing these higher lows, potentially coming back into another one. Here you could form another higher low and see another move to the upside. So that's kind of where I'm at with pound CAD. Would I buy that? No, not really. I don't like the fact that we're placing all these lower highs. We haven't really shown much conviction to the upside. Our last bullish move was quite corrective, as we can see here. Not really wanted to see. So yeah, for pound CAD, looking for buys in this area is not a bad place, but of course you do want that structure to shift bullish again, sorry, before looking for any long opportunities, and then you can look for your break and retest somewhere to long, probably in the lower time frames. But yeah, pound CAD is not really doing it for me, to be honest. As I've been touching upon in my streams, when people ask me to take a look at it, I kind of just say price kind of squeezing in this kind of long-term pattern here and kind of getting ready for a larger breakout. I do overall have favor to the upside because overall we are have the upward trajectory, even though it's very slight. Yeah, apart from that, there's not a lot of edge to it. There's other pairs that look a lot cleaner, which I'll be focusing next week. But for pound CAD, there is some sense to it. If you can place another higher low, just like we've been doing previously, could be some nice buys back up into that same resistance. So keep an eye on that area. Structure does shift, could be a nice opportunity, but there's a lot of if, buts, and maybes here for pound CAD. So not a big fan of it, but if I was looking to trade it, this would probably be my idea. So keep an eye for pound CAD longs next week. Okay, so now on to pound yen. So pound yen still bullish buys for this one, but again, not so eager to trade it because we've just taken out some really strong major highs on a daily and weekly chart here. So not really the optimal place for me to get into any longs as a intra-week swing trader. Again, day trading, you can take advantage of that momentum, but in this area here, not really the best place for me to long. So I'm going to have to take a miss on pound yen, but the structure is still pointing up. Still seeing confident bullish move to the upside, really strong move to the upside. this week, and I did talk about a retest of this area, which we didn't quite see. We attempted to do it a couple of times, but potentially could see one more push down, slightly bigger correction before a bigger move to the upside. This level still remains untested. Strong break of that high, a lot of momentum. It's just still a nice place to look to get into any longs, and if you are going to continue the trend, a great place to do it so as well. So I would keep an eye on the retest of 187, 800, 700 for some longs back to the swing high. But of course, because of where we're trading, I would be a little bit careful, because there's a very strong chance that sooner or later we're going to eventually roll back over. If I go to the daily chart, you can see the way the market's been trading. Takes out the high, big move down, takes out the high, big move down, takes out the high. I'm expecting eventually a big move down eventually. So that's kind of what I'm expecting for pound yen, and maybe some nice sells following after. So pound yen buy still look good, structure still obeying, still a nice area of confidence there as well. But of course, we just need to see the retest of that area and find some entries. That's the only place that makes sense to me in terms of long, because we have had a pullback. We don't necessarily have to come back again. We can still push on. But if you are look to get into any longs with pound yen, this is probably the only place that makes sense to me to get into any longs, at least in the 4H time frame. So that'll be the plan next week for pound yen. Still looking for a push back to the high at 190, and maybe some higher highs as well. So yeah, that's the plan next week for pound yen. Okay, so over to gold. So gold, we did see a strong move to the downside this week into 1990, strong area of demand. We haven't really taken out that structure yet. We did kind of see a strong move, which is kind of what I was looking for, but I didn't take out any really important structure, which would mean this low here. This gave us a last big swing to the upside, back into the highs there. If we took out that structure, then we could be seeing a big reversal for gold, but I'm kind of looking at gold as potentially a big pullback or a larger bull flag pattern, because it's been so corrective. Yes, there was a nice move to the downside here, but overall the way we move into the downside has been in this kind of corrective channel. And long term for gold, I'm still pretty bullish, and this could just be a large correction of this bullish move here, and I wouldn't be too surprised if you do see a big move up. Silver at the time is looking very, very bullish. Strong rejection of a big level of support. That one looks like it could be moving back to highs. I wouldn't be surprised if gold does follow suit and see a big move up as well. So gold longs do look good. There has been a strong move to the downside here, so there could be potentially one more move back down again, which could provide some nice buying opportunities. But based on how the market is moving, I'd rather focus on the buys here for gold. And again, the only realistic place, at least from my analysis, that looks good for gold long would be if market does come back down and retest the support again, because I wouldn't really want to be engaging in gold in this area here. It's just too noisy, a lot of kind of faking out and just chaotic price action. It's not neat and tidy. So the only place that would be a sensible place for a sensible stop loss would be kind of down at this area here for some longs. And of course, risk reward can be very, very high if you're looking for a swing back to the high there, or back to the top of the channel, or even back to this area here. We did see some strong selling pressure, so that'll be up to you how far you have to take the trade. But in terms of looking to get into gold, get into some longs, this is a nice place to do it around the 1990 mark, and looking to take price higher. So for gold, I'm expecting upside next week. We're coming into some area of supply resistance here, so we might see a pullback, which could invite some buys later in the week, which would be a good thing. But at the moment, looking for a push from 1990 back to 2030, 2040, 2050. And if this is just a larger correction, I would be expecting us to come back to the highs there at 2085. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for gold. The only way I'll change that bias completely is if we do break structure here, and then of course I would expect some more downside if that does happen. So that's kind of what would invalidate my bias. Again, I'm myself not really too interested in trading gold, because we are trading at some big resistance still. So I'm still not really focused on gold longs, but if you're looking at gold, I would focus for the buys next week. So that'll be planned for gold next week. Okay, so over to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, crazy week for this one. Big moves to the upside, breaking through the highs at 49k, and we wicked into 52, almost 53k. So yeah, Bitcoin's looking very, very bullish. I do think it's only a matter of time before we get back to the highs here. Purely from a technical standpoint, we've broken through a major area of resistance supply here on the left, and I said if we do take up this area here, The weekly candle still has a day and 9 hours left before it does close, but at the moment it does look likely if we do close above here and break through this area and validate that area, I do think there's a very, very high chance that Bitcoin will make it back to the high. We may still go through one last deeper pullback. That's still a possibility, but I do think it's just a very high chance we get back to the highs unless something crazy happens to Bitcoin. So really looking just buying the pullbacks back to the high at 67, 68K. Really for Bitcoin, just looking to buy the pullbacks. Of course, this is our strong level resistance, broke through very confidently. Haven't had the retest on the daily chart yet, so this is still a very attractive place to look to see if we can pick up some longs. And yeah, Bitcoin's not really seeing too much length with the pullbacks. We're kind of seeing quite miniature pullbacks. Again, we had a crazy move to the upside here, didn't see too much before the market is seeing some strong momentum as well. So I'm not expecting anything crazy in terms of the pullbacks. If we do, that's fantastic. That'll probably provide some really nice long-term buys, but and again, even now still long-term buys as well. But you know, I'm expecting kind of shallow retracements as we continue higher, and this is not a bad place to pick up some longs and a retest of that area. So if you're looking at buying Bitcoin, focus around 49, 48K, not a bad place to pick up some longs. And as I said, I do think it's a matter of time before we do come back to the highs at 65, 68K here. So yeah, Bitcoin, very, very bullish, expecting a lot more upside. Let's see if we can get some pullbacks first, but that'll be the plan next week for it. And last but not least, we've got dollar Swiss as our bonus pair. So I'm looking for long opportunities for dollar Swiss. Now I'm longer term bearish on the pair, but I have spotted some short, medium term long opportunities, which I will entertain if everything fits my criteria for some longer term sales. So if I start with the higher time frames, particularly the weekly chart, we've had this really, really strong move to the downside. You can see the structure being bearish for a while, taking out some kilos there on the left as well. So longer term, particularly in the weekly chart, I do expect us to eventually topple over, form a lower high and form a lower high and come back down there. So that's what I'm expecting from a weekly chart. However, at the moment, the market is forming some really strong bullish structure, really aggressive moves to the upside, taking out some key highs here on the left as well, breaking through that 4H swing low, which gave us this big dump to the downside. So I do like what I'm seeing, and I do think coming back into some areas of confluence, retesting the prior high, pulling back into the 50, maybe 618, I do think there's a good chance we can see a reaction off that and some upside. Now, with this opportunity, I may not look to push it all the way back to the swing high, just because of the higher time frames. Longer term, I'm bearish, so there is a good chance that we actually do see a reaction from this area, but it could actually give us a lower high at some point and the market start becoming bearish again. So I will be a bit more conservative with this one, maybe aggressively trail my stop loss, may target potentially this area here. So I'll see how things come into fruition closer to the time of me taking the trade. But at the moment, confident bullish structure, breaking through some bearish highs here, big strong move there with a lot of momentum, and really haven't come back to test this area with some nice confluence and possibly retest this trend line here as well for another higher low too. So there's a lot of good confluence here and a lot of upside potential, but like I said, longer term bearish view on the pair, so I don't want to be too aggressive and try and push us too far and overstay my welcome, because I do want to sell the pair eventually. If you can start forming some lower lows and lower highs again, then I'll be back on board with the sales. But for now, entertaining some buy opportunities if we can get a pullback into around the 0.87 area. So keep an eye on some longs for dollar Swiss. Nice sharp pullback into that level. We'll look for some entry candles and take it back up again. So that'll be the plan for dollar Swiss next week. And ladies and gentlemen, that does take us to the end of this week's analysis. If you have enjoyed it, please be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure you do hit the bell so you don't miss out any streams or uploads in the future. As I said during the video, I will be posting my watch list on my Telegram account, Telegram channel. Link to that in the description below, so make sure you go check that out if you do want to see what pairs I do focus on for next week. But again, thank you so much guys for watching, really do appreciate it. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll catch you all in the next one.